I don't think students get enough sleep. To the degree that schools can hold themselves accountable for that sleep lack, no, I'm not willing to blame schools.
Students don't get enough sleep. But, you know, we're also guilty. We don't get enough sleep.
You've actually kind of hit a powder keg because that if we were to take it on in our classes, then there's more to take on in the schools. Yes, we should make certain that the youth get enough sleep, and they should hopefully get the message from everybody. That doesn't always happen, though.
Unfortunately, we tend to be so linear in our thinking, the finger pointing can come right to us. I have had students tell me to their face they're on their phones till 3 in the morning. They're watching Netflix in their beds. Their parents don't know what time they go to bed. And then we're held accountable for them being tired, and I don't buy it.
Sometimes some students have a difficult time meeting their expectations that either the parents set upon themselves, their grandparents set upon themselves, or eventually they put upon themselves. This kind of adds to the stress. Now the reason I mention that is because what that does is it just heightens the stress. And how do you take care of stress? Usually it's rest. And that's where this all is going.
But I don't think schools are to blame for our students' lack of sleep. I think you guys could go look up many social media companies. You can talk about changing norms around screen use, and you can talk to parents. And then we can have an interesting conversation.
The other thing that's kind of a wild card that's really cropped up over the past 15 years is the advent of technology. Because when someone concentrates, then they can get things done more efficiently. However, when one is trying to finish something and they've got one of these weapons of mass distraction, that's what I call it, then it slows them down more than they want to believe.
For students, it's the same thing. I think Stanford students they do more than they used to. They have to belong to more clubs. They have to, I don't know, they have more obligations. And for high school students, you know, I don't know how they would fit it in. I don't know how to make it work, but I do know, I mean, Zoe doesn't get enough sleep.
The other sort of issue that I see with sort of sleep debt is it's a sort of natural consequence for choices that people are making. And so it's kind of nice because it's this built-in thing. It's like, well, what was happening and why do you have the sleep debt? Why weren't you able to go to school? Or why weren't you able to go to sleep, right? Is it because the school day started? Or is it because you tried to cram, 75 things into 24 hours?
Probably a good third of the kids that will say that I didn't remember anything, I don't know what it was, we just learned a ton of facts and it just all went out of my head. There's other kids that talk about it, and again, these are not the kids that are falling asleep in my class. It was the best class I ever had, it was the first class I really learned how to study and take notes from a text. I can't believe how much stuff I learned and how much I was able to remember and recall. And I'm sure those are also the kids that are going to bed at 11 o'clock and getting more sleep. And what I see is that there's a little bit, and I don't know how honest they are, but there's a little bit of sort of pride in saying that I was up till 3 in the morning, And again, that they can do that for a couple of days, and they'll, coffee or Ritalin or, whatever, Red Bull, to sort of stimulate their way through the day, sleep, have these crash sleeps, then wake up and stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning again because you've just slept from 8 till 2.
What does a student do if they know they don't have enough sleep? The answer is oftentimes they go to an artificial source to try to perk themselves up, such as caffeine or a 5-hour energy or something like that. And that they don't understand the addictive nature of some of those things.
I think they, like we, are crankier and impatient and don't remember things. And I mean, it's just the same for anyone, I think, if you don't get enough sleep.
And the suicide clusters, both the one that happened about 9 years ago and then the more recent, sleep is seen as being a major contributing factor in mental health.
Yeah.
I do think a later start time has helped. I've watched school go from 7:50, is that it, to 8:15. And I know that the other campus starts at 8:25. And I think even later might be helpful. I do think a later start time benefits our students.
They did a poll, they surveyed the kids about start times and when they wanted to start. What was interesting is that they didn't actually connect it together, but they universally said, yes, I'd like to start at 8:30. And when it said, would you go to school until 4? They're like, no! So again, there is a little bit about what you were saying, could we compress the school day? But that they don't equate a late start with a late finish. And they're like, no, I couldn't do that because then I couldn't go to practice or I couldn't do this.
I think that teachers keep telling us that like sleep is important if you're studying. Like if you don't have sleep, it's not even gonna be worth it or anything. But the way the schedule works, I think that even though it technically should start at a later time, if you start at a later time, it's gonna end later, and then people have sports and all kinds of after-school activities, and then they'd just be getting to bed later, and everything would be pushed back, and it wouldn't actually help anything at all.
So if they could start later, if the high school had a start time of 9, I mean, just that extra hour would be
So bad.
wonderful. Yeah, I mean,
Because then
okay.
if
I'm just talking about
especially-
sleep though. I'm
But
not talking about
especially-
how it would work.
The start time has been pushed back with a fair amount of success. 8:15, is that enough? In my experience, I think it has proven to be very good. However, knowing how teenagers work, if you push a line, then they'll push back. So if they were late for 7:50 classes, yeah, they were late for 8:15 classes still too.
Yeah.
If we were to go to 8:30, like it's recommended, would that continue to happen? I don't know. It really kind of depends upon how the families and the students adapt to whatever changes are made. So right now, I'm comfortable with the 8:15. I think it's good for a few reasons. One of them is because of this idea of having the extracurriculars. It is very difficult to play a winter sport outdoors if you don't have lights.
That scheduling is so much better.
Is it good?
It's great. Because then you don't have as much stress to get all homework done for all your classes every day, which would be way too much and we'd get even less sleep.
The block period has turned out to be very good, to the point where math and world language actually have adopted it, that we embrace it, we like it. Because we can get a lot done during that time. The drawback, we only see them 3 times a week, which does have its problems. But it does help the students organize their time better, because they know that they don't have to get ready for 7 classes the next day. They can get ready for only 3 classes, or maybe 4.
No, it has not been. That is not, it does not seem to be something, like, I have not received any kind of conversation about it.
We're at the very northern edge of Santa Clara County.
But even in my last district,
But
which is
I don't know
pretty
anything
close,
about
no.
coming from the
Mostly achievement gap
office of a,
seems to be like the real push right now, right? Would you say achievement gap? But not a lot of conversations about, but we did change our start time in the last
right,
6 years, 7 years.
yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I actually don't know if they have developed a policy, but it shouldn't require an edict to say that, yes, these kids need sleep.
It'd be so radical if for anyone under 18, we started to treat screen time like tobacco or alcohol, and there was a universal outage on everyone's apps. I have kids who suffer with this. It's an ongoing battle. It has changed the landscape of our culture. So until we reach a crisis level, I don't know. I don't have an easy solution.
Another thing that we bantered around with is, instead of having 7 classes, we'd have 6. However, the community does appreciate the fact that students can't take a lot of classes here, and so they would have a hard time letting go of 7 periods. They would want to have extra electives, which we have plenty of here. We don't want to cut out the electives, and that's what would happen if we went to a 6-period day. Nevertheless, though, I mean, anytime you make a shift like that, even if it's just these 15 minutes from 8:15 to 8:30, you're going to get pushback from people who really don't want that to happen for whatever reason. I, for one, would be okay with it. I like the 8:15, but I would make the 8:30 work because it's really about the students, and it has to be about the students.
Yeah.
Everybody has to value the kid. Everybody has to value the student. It's a matter of making sure that the priorities are right